To sculpt a head of hair with scissors is an art form. It's in pursuit of art. I think that as good architecture enhances a city, a good cut enhances the definition and expression of a face. Beauty is the passionate and positive expression of the complete self. If you look good, we look good. Take good advice, make sure it is good advice, then do it your way. When the doubters tell you it can't be done and all kind of tragedies will come your way, I say nonsense. If you can get to the very root of who you are and make something happen from it, my sense tells me you are going to surprise yourself. For me, the working of hair is architecture with a human element. You must always do what you feel is right. If you get hold of a head of hair on somebody you've never seen before, cut beautiful shapes, cut beautiful architectural angles, and she walks out looking so different, I think that's masterful. My idea was to cut shape into the hair, to use it like fabric and take away everything that was superfluous. The essence is, what can we do next? And will it be good? We learned to put discipline in the haircuts by using actual geometry, actual architectural shapes and bone structure. The cut had to be perfect and layered beautifully, so that when a woman shook it, it just fell back. And you either create something and you keep it a secret and you die with it, or you can benefit the craft. I was all about my thoughts, my work, my inspiration. I was always in hair. If you have a sense of style and purpose and will, you don't want to compromise. To me, hairdressing means shape. It's very important that the foundations should be right. Hair is another name for sex. To me, hairdressing means shape. It's very important that the foundations should be right. Most people have excellent necks. Now they cover them with curtains, which is kind of ridiculous. But there are some beautiful necklines that you can cut into and create wonderful backs, as well as bone structure for the face. Hair excited me. As the old ways, backcombing, rollers and rigidity, went out of the window, I started to feel the possibilities in front of my eyes. For 9 years I worked to change what was hairdressing then into a geometric art form with color, perm without setting, which had never been done before. If someone were to ask me, what's the number one thing, in essence, that you left behind? It was the teaching of others, so that they could take my work and take it further. Women were going back to work, they were assuming their own power. They didn't have time to sit under the dryer. As stylists, we're ground shakers and daymakers. I was always in hair. I was all about my thoughts, my work, my inspiration. I was always in hair. Vidal Sassoon. It's hard to give advice. There are so many people, how do you give major advice to a group of people? It's very presumptuous. The only place where success comes before work is in the dictionary. If you don't look good, we don't look good. It was my mother's idea. Her feeling was that I didn't have the intelligence to pick a trade myself. We learned to put discipline in the haircuts by using actual geometry, actual architectural shapes and bone structure. The cut had to be perfect and layered beautifully, so that when a woman shook it, it just fell back in. So I was shampooing at 14. But I've always thought that had I the opportunity for an education, I would have been an architect. There's no question about it. I was born in 1928 and by 1931 the Depression was beginning to mount. I came home after a year and although my profession was only hairdressing, I knew I could change it. If you just do something, then your 5-year wonder and, goodbye, you're gone. But if people feel it's worthwhile, not only do they copy but they want to learn how to do it. To me, that's what it's all about. If someone were to ask me, what's the number one thing, in essence, that you left behind? It was the teaching of others so that they could take my work and take it further. I came home after a year and although my profession was only hairdressing, I knew I could change it. My mother had a premonition and she felt that hairdressing would be very good for me. Hairdressing in general hasn't been given the kudos it deserves. It's not recognized by enough people as a worthy craft. A working woman could save a few shillings a week, and then every 5 weeks she'd come in and we'd cut her hair. She could shampoo it under the shower, swing it and dry it off or just let it dry by itself. It changed the lives of many young girls who'd never had the opportunity to be styled like that before. For 9 years I worked to change what was hairdressing then into a geometric art form with color, perm without setting, which had never been done before. I regard the 5-point cut as the finest cut I have ever created, the geometric design in its purest, most classical form. Realizing our society as it is, without theology dogmatically telling us how we should react to it, and being humane toward that society, that is all that we're sure of.